Hi, I'm Ben,
And I'm Ernie.
and this is Budget Nerds.
What was all in your mind?
You are not alone.
No, you are not. And we are here today to talk about impulse spending, how to, not spend like crazy, even when you have a budget. Because sometimes, even when you have a budget, especially if it's early on, it can be hard to break those habits of just kind of spending on a whim. So that's what we're going to talk about today.
And even the biggest budget nerds, right, who've been doing this for years, can struggle with
Mhm.
impulse spending.
Yeah, it's just human nature, because it's kind of one of those things that just, especially if you've been like having a hard time or something, it's just one of those things that kind of soothes you to buy something new. So it can be easy to go back into old habits, and just kind of blow the budget sometimes. So we're going to talk about some ways to avoid it, some ways to maybe even plan some impulse spending into your life. So let's talk about all that. So the first concept, this is the way to stop impulse spending. The first concept we want to talk about is checking the budget first. That's a mantra here around YNAB, right, Ernie?
I am chanting that all the time.
Check the budget
in
first.
the workshops. But it's true. Like, it's not just cliche. I mean, it really does work. Before you even walk into a store, before you even go online, you look at the budget and you see, what do I have available to spend?
Exactly. Yeah. So always check the budget before you spend any money ever. That's the idea. I mean, especially those discretionary things like shopping and stuff. And I think what's why it's so powerful is because that's when the budget really starts affecting your life. Because I know this is for me. This way it was kind of for me when I first started too. A lot of times you'll just kind of say, oh, we'll just spend the money and then figure it out later. You know what I mean? But this is where you actually look at the budget and see if you have enough to do what you're planning on doing. And then you can actually make a choice, right? So, okay, like let's say you're about to buy something at the store and you look at your budget and you see that you have enough for it. Then you can just buy it. That's the happiest path, right? And that's really empowering, I think, when it's all working. It's like you planned ahead of time for what you wanted to spend, and then you can just do it, and you can do it with permission. And so just even if the answer is yes after you look at the budget, that in itself is really empowering because you can spend it without any guilt.
And for me, it's oddly satisfying to buy a cup of coffee knowing I have that money. And not only do I have the money, but I'm not compromising any other priorities.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is going to work in all possible ways. And that feels really good.
Yeah. And then there's a couple other scenarios. I mean, the other scenario is you look at your budget and you don't have enough money for the thing that you want to buy. And then you have a choice here, right? First, the obvious choice is you just tell yourself no. You say, sorry. You talk to that little child throwing a tantrum inside and say, we have food at home.
Right. We don't have money for takeout sushi, but hey, we have $5 for a Little Caesars hot and ready.
Yeah. And it gets a bad rap, but like that's also empowering, I think.
It is.
Because you have control over yourself, and that's a good thing. But then there's the other option, which I think kind of leads us to another mantra, which is find the money first. So check the budget first, and then find the money first. Why don't you talk about what find the money first means there?
Yeah, this is just dealing with rolling with the punches, right? And you don't have the money for one thing, so maybe you can find that money from other categories. But it's not just blindly taking money from categories, right? It's prioritizing your money. Mm-hmm. Which categories are least important to me, right? And this is what I do in my actual budget. I look at the money available in those other categories and, okay, I want takeout sushi. Am I willing to take some of my personal spending money am I willing to take money from groceries or these other categories, vacation, whatever it may be, and I get to weigh the trade-offs. I get to prioritize what is most important to me. And if at the end of all that, takeout sushi is the most important, then I go ahead and I order takeout sushi.
There you go. Yeah. So if you don't have the money in that category for what you want to spend, it's not an automatic no. You can say, well, is there something in here that's a lower priority than buying the sushi or buying the thing or whatever it is? And if there is, if the answer is yes, and you want to move some money, that's a good thing. That's a good decision, because you're actually, your budget should reflect your priorities. And sometimes you make a plan, 3 weeks ago that doesn't reflect your priorities today. And so it's okay to adjust, so long as you're doing that with your eyes wide open. It's all about intention, really.
And I love the phrase eyes wide open, right? You're going into it knowing exactly what this is going to look like now and down the road, right? Mm-hmm. And that's why we weigh those trade-offs, because we don't want to compromise other priorities at, get to the end of the month and be like, oh, why didn't we save any money for a down payment?
Yeah, or worse, like, oh, we don't have enough money for the electric bill, or
right.
Like you're doing everything. You're because we're doing a zero-based budget. You can see the trade-offs, like, so if I wanted the sushi and I said, I'm going to take some money from my vacation category to do it, I'm saying right now this sushi is more important to me than maybe saving a little extra for that vacation. Maybe I can make it up later or whatever. You're recognizing what you're giving up to get the thing you want. And that's key. It's funny. I just thought of a story came to mind from last week. It was Sunday, which we're recording this a little bit earlier before we release it on YouTube, but it was Sunday, the last day of February. And, things are getting a little tight on the old dining out budget there, And my wife and I were going to get some takeout, and we were going to get some Chipotle. That was the plan. So good. But we only had like $21 or something like that in the dining out category. And that you can go to Chipotle for that amount and it works, but you can't like do that and also get like the queso and the chips.
Okay.
Right? So that was the point. It was like the queso and chips. And I was talking to I was like making my order with my wife Caitlin. And she was like, and I was like, and we were over. We were like $6 over, and I was like, I'll use my personal spending because I want the queso with the chips, right? And she kept cutting back, and I was like, I said I'll use my personal spending, and she's like, but I'm trying to avoid that. And I remember what I said was, but I don't want to avoid that. Like I'm fine using my personal spending, right? Yeah. So it's kind of awesome actually, because I realized that I was perfectly happy to buy us some queso with my personal spending in that moment. So yeah, that was
nice. Well, I have a similar Chipotle story actually from today. I ordered Chipotle for lunch before this, so as soon as we're done, I'm gonna go pick it up.
Sponsor guys or anything.
But what happened is okay, so with COVID and everything, I haven't been spending a lot of my personal money, or I should say, I've been spending a lot of it on takeout. Mm-hmm. And so I've just been realizing this over the past couple months that, I have a lot of money going to takeout on Wednesdays, which is kind of like my day. The boys are gone. Christy's at work. I kind of have the house to myself. Mm-hmm. And I had a gift card for $10. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to stick within this $10. But I want to spend 10 or more. I don't want to spend 10 or less, because I don't want to carry around a gift card with just a few cents on it. I adjusted my order numerous times until I got it just over 10. Okay. Because, and I didn't want to spend I wanted to spend as little of my personal money as possible on this lunch. And I got it down to 13 cents was charged to the card. And I felt good with that.
Well done. You're right.
Yeah. So $10 on the gift card, 13 cents on my credit card. Hardly any money coming out of my personal spending money.
That's so nerdy right there. You're like messing with the budget, but you can also mess with your Chipotle order to get it exactly right.
Yeah.
So those are the mantras: is check the budget first before spending. And then if you still want to spend and you don't have the money, find the money first. That's key. So I love that.
Yeah. And when I was thinking through impulse spending, before we gathered here, for me, it just all came back to priorities. And, over the past couple of years, we've been increasing our personal spending categories. Christy and I have been, because that's where all of our impulse spending goes to. It goes to the personal spending categories. And so those those category balances are getting a little bit on the high side. And right now, I haven't been saving for anything in particular. Usually I'm saving for some sort of power tool or something for my shop, but I don't have that. And so it's really easy for me to do a lunch here, to do a lunch there, to get the Starbucks when I can just make my coffee.
Well, you have no, if the question is, what's the trade-off for you? It's just kind of like a big question mark.
Right. I don't have any trade-offs. And so, I know there's things eventually I want to start spending money on, and it's getting nice here in Wisconsin. I'm going to start golfing again. I do have some other tools that eventually I know I'm going to be buying for the shop, but I just haven't made them a priority in the budget. And so every time I open the budget, I'm usually unaware of these future things that I want to buy. And so I'm like, oh, I have all this money. Yeah, let's go to lunch again. Or let's pick up another Starbucks.
That's super interesting. Yeah, I think there's some power in just creating a category. Even if you, like, let's say you're saving up for a power tool, like you mentioned, right? And maybe you're not ready to actually put some money regularly to that category, but go ahead and add that category to your budget. And that way, when you are weighing trade-offs, like, should I go out to eat right now or something? We keep going back to going out to eat because that's like the thing, right? But when you're weighing those trade-offs, you might actually see that category in your budget and say, if I didn't go out right now, maybe I could put a little bit to fund that thing I want. So I think there's a lot of power in just literally adding a budget, even if it's empty for a little while, just to see if it kind of attracts some money.
Yeah, that's a good idea, because I remember when I was in the debt paydown phase where I was just so dialed in and always checking the budget. And anytime I was considering an impulse spend, I usually said no, because I'm like, I'm going to use this money to help pay off debt a little bit faster. Because at that time, I was even taking money from my personal spending category and throwing it at my student loan.
You were serious.
Yeah. It was a high priority, and it showed in my spending habits.
That's awesome. Yeah. So it's just, if basically, bottom line is, if you don't have any goals, especially if you don't have any big goals, it's very hard to not impulse spend because you don't have any reason not to.
Right.
So I think, without vision, you just kind of dwindle a little bit, I think. So maybe if you're feeling that way, if you're feeling like, maybe there's like a check in your heart and you're just like, I just feel like in general, I'm spending too much on shopping or impulse spending or eating out, but you don't really know why. Maybe that's a signal to you to say, I need to sit down with a piece of paper and write out some financial goals. And maybe you'll realize, oh, the reason why is because in my heart of hearts, I really want to go on vacation, or I really want to pay off this credit card, and I haven't made it a priority in my budget. So I haven't been able to actually fund it, so that could be something for you. That's good. Well, we also have just like a bunch of quick ideas that we wrote down of just kind of tips and tricks on ways to cut impulse spending. So
the 24-hour rule, that's one that I personally use, especially if I'm shopping online. Do I really need this Amazon item? Let me just wait 24 hours. And it actually works for me.
And stick it in the cart, wait for 24 hours. They'll send you an email and be like, you left this in your cart.
And this is something I'm trying to instill in my boys, because they get their new money on the 1st and instantly they're at Target wanting to buy the first thing they see. And I'm like, buddy, you've got all month. Don't you just want to give yourself 24 hours, one day, to see if you still want this item? But they don't care.
You got teenage boys. It might take some time. It's a good thing. But it's just like, if you really want to buy a thing, just make it a rule, especially maybe if it's over X amount of dollars, whatever that is for you.
Yeah.
And, go home, take a cold shower, think about it, whatever you need to do. And that way you don't regret it 24 hours later,
Yeah, and good point about a certain, threshold there for the amount.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this with Starbucks, a $2 coffee.
Right. Yeah, I don't want you guys to feel like you have to question like every little thing, especially if you've already budgeted for it. I mean, come on. Yeah, if it's over, I don't know, maybe it's over $100 or $50 or whatever that amount is for you.
Yeah.
Another thing is to talk to an accountability partner, like somebody that you can trust about your spending. This can be hard to do because money's pretty taboo, but I think it can be really, really powerful if you just kind of find somebody who you think is responsible, who you trust, and maybe you make an agreement. Say, hey, if we're gonna spend again X amount of money, we just run it by each other a little bit.
Yeah,
that might be good, especially for like really big purchases. It could be helpful to talk to a trusted friend. A lot of people say like, this can be your partner too, like your spouse. But even that, I'm like, I feel like you might even need somebody on the outside of your family sometimes, because if both of you are real gung ho on something, it might be good to have maybe another couple it's a YNAB or something that you can talk to, and there's a lot of ways to get this, because I know for a lot of people it's hard to talk to people really closely, but maybe you can reach out to somebody in the YNAB community because you can get to know people that way and get a check from others that way. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'd love to see like people in the comments connecting and and getting together that way. Another idea. What you want to go, Ernie? What's
making a plan when you shop?
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty self-explanatory. And I found this to be true because I've been doing online shopping for the past, 6 or 9 months, whatever, with COVID here. And there's no impulse spending because I have my list. I buy exactly those items and I go to the store and pick them up. Okay, I'm not walking around the store.
Walking past the candy and
exactly.
You're not bringing your children past the toys and all that.
This bag is only $1. Let's buy it.
Right. Yeah. I think it's online shopping for groceries, especially, it's been really helpful for me. I think it's just very convenient, but also, it helps with that. But more than just groceries, I mean, we talk a lot about making a meal plan and making grocery lists, but even more than groceries, like before you go into Target, like have an idea what you're going to get, especially if you're really trying to avoid, especially if there's kind of like two reasons why you might go to Target. You might go to Target like kind of for entertainment,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just see what's around, like just kind of shop a little bit. Or you might be going for something specific, right? So recognize what kind of shopping trip am I going on here? Am I going to get something specific? Then just go straight to the thing and get it, or get it online and get it sent to your car, right? Yep. But then on the other hand, I mean, I guess we can go to this, like maybe you do want to have maybe a fund for just fun shopping. I love this idea of like planning spontaneity a little bit, where maybe you say, what, shopping is a hobby for me, or it's just something I like to do, and I want to be able to go into a store or cruise around on Amazon or something like that and just be able to buy what I want. But the point is to set limits on that, so maybe have a shopping category that you set aside a certain amount for, and you just don't go over that. And that can be really powerful because you can kind of scratch that itch of being able to do some impulse spending, but you plan it. So it's like a planned impulse. It's kind of like a weird oxymoron, but it kind of works. So yep. I think it's really good. It's almost like giving yourself a little release valve, for maybe some of the stress.
I like that. Yeah, release valve, definitely.
Another thing is just like try to replace any kind of impulse spending habits with new habits. Like, do you have any ideas on this, Ernie? Like, just find another way to kind of soothe yourself if you're feeling stressed, because maybe in the past you've gone to the store just because you're feeling bad and you're like, I just want to buy something, and that can be a very negative habit for people.
I think for me,
we can replace that.
Yeah, just recognizing that, I'm buying this or I'm going to this store because out of habit. You know, like
Right.
I know where all the Starbucks are, the coffee shops in my town, and I always seem to drive by them. Oh,
Yeah,
hey,
exactly.
while I'm here, let's buy something, you know, kind of thing. Or I'm
Hmm.
feeling a certain way after maybe a rough day with the boys, and I go to
Yeah.
the grocery store, and all of a sudden, all these, you know, bags of chips and stuff like that look good to me.
Yeah.
And just recognize that, oh, that I'm this is a habit here, you know.
Yeah, sometimes it's almost like it's almost like a compulsion. Like I remember for a long time, every time I went to the grocery store, like I had to grab like some little stupid little candy thing from the register. And like I remember like deciding I'm gonna stop doing this. I need to like not do this every time because it's not good for my health. And it's just I feel like I'm being controlled by by the people who stick these in my face, you know?
Yep.
And I remember like I almost like my body almost being like mad at me, you know. I almost had like a physical reaction to because you know, it's like Pavlov's dog. I was like
Yeah.
expecting to get a little bit of sugar and I didn't. And so it's you can recognize some of these things are like an addiction. It's really true. And so just like recognizing that you have this almost this compulsion or almost this habit, I guess is really the right word.
Yeah.
And once you even recognize it, you can start to work against it, maybe with replacing it with something, maybe a healthier habit instead. So
Right.
that's really good.
And the last one that I thought of was just starting a side hustle and using that extra income to fund, you know, your personal spending category or your impulse spending, you know, stuff like that. And that's what I did for, you know, probably about a year and a half. I was a ship shopper, and I didn't do a whole lot of shops, but, you know, maybe 1 or 2 a week. I'd make an extra 25, $50. And a lot of that money went towards paying off debt. I used some of it for investments, but then it got to the point where I started using that for my fun money. And so if I did spend a little bit more eating out or on coffee or golf or something like that, I didn't really feel bad because it came from
it's extra money.
that extra money, right? It wasn't coming
Wait, when you
from...
say ship shopper, what is that? Tell me what this thing is.
Not familiar with ship shopping? Okay,
Is it like secret shopping? Is that what that?
No,
is that what it is?
I would buy groceries for people and deliver them to their house.
Okay.
And
I wasn't
I think
familiar with
like
the term.
in Ship Shopper, like Shipped is the company, and I think Target owns them.
Okay. I've heard of others like TaskRabbit or you know that kind of
It's
stuff.
very similar to that, but you know, it's one of those things where I could kind of pick my own schedule, and I would do, you know, late evenings and stuff like that when the boys were down and I wasn't working, stuff like that, or maybe a weekend shift here or there. But yeah, go and buy some groceries for people, deliver to their house, and make a few bucks.
Okay, for a second I thought you were talking about like secret shopping. You know what I'm talking about, where like a company will pay you to like go and spy on their employees, and it feels really weird. I was like, oh, I'm sure you got some great stories there. But cool. Yeah, I mean, and maybe you kind of have a hobby that kind of funds itself too. Like, I don't know, maybe you're really into pottery or something like that, and maybe you could sell some pieces that you're making, and that funds, you know, the cost of clay and all that. Or I had a friend who was really into board games, and I have benefited from his gigantic board game collection, which is great. And I remember what he did is he just got really good at like buying and selling board games. And so he just like put a little bit of seed money into his board gaming hobby category. He was a YNAB too. And then he would buy games really cheap. He would find them in stores, like maybe they had like a little blemish or something, and use them for a little while, and then sometimes sell them and even make a profit on it. And so he kind of had this like virtuous cycle in his gaming category to where he'd always be getting new games, but it didn't really cost him anything besides the initial infusion of cash. So if you can get creative, you can kind of fund your own hobbies that way. And then, like you said, Ernie, you don't have to feel bad about spending it on maybe some more frivolous things because it's just some extra money. So yeah, that's cool. So there's a few ideas for you guys on ways to cut down on impulse spending, both the more YNAB method ideas, and then also some quick tips. So I hope this was helpful.
Yeah, and as always, love to hear from you in the comments section. Your thoughts on impulse spending, what you've been doing to try to curb that. So
yeah, I'd love to hear it. All right. Well, happy budgeting, everybody. And thanks for being here.
See you next time.
All righty. See ya.